This
next
conference will now be recorded.
right. So we're going to discuss about logging and auditing, which is extension to security. It's not, you can say that controlling kind of, but it's kind of monitoring who is doing what, kind of auditing all operations. So let's go through it. How we can audit the operations of people, how we can catch if someone doing the bad activity. So firstly, you have to enable this before bad thing happens. Once it has happened, you did not enable the auditing, we can't catch. Okay, that's not possible by default in most of the products. DML operations can't be tracked out. So to track that, we must enable the Postgres server level auditing. So first, uh, there are a few differences we need to talk about with the repo-based installation and source code installation. We have done two types of installation which are famous for Postgres. So basically, if I go and check cdctl and status, pgctl, there is a process running, Postgres process. This is a parent process. So if I go and check ps-ef grep for with that ID, I get all the child process which are running with that parent ID. If you see here, there is one process missing, in fact, which is a child process. Sorry, log writer, logging process. You don't get by default with a source code installation. If you are installing the Postgres with the repo-based installation, yum installation, you get the logger service by default. Log writer, we can say that logger. What you see here, to enable that service first, which is very much important for us. Basically, let me show where we can check that. Basically, it will create in the data directory. If I connect to the Postgres server, let's see the data directory, show data directory to see the data directory of the Postgres. This is where we have. So I'll go to the directory, Postgres only, right. So here we have all our Postgres server, the entire cluster data. If you look at here, we don't have something called pg log, which will create a, when we go with the repo based installation, you get that directory where all events of Postgres, like it can be any error, any warning, any such kind of thing that is happening in the Postgres, it get written. But in the source code, you don't get that. You have to enable it manually. I did not talk about that intentionally because there is a topic to talk about that you have to do right after the installation. Okay, right after the installation, we have to enable the log writer, you can say, with a simple step anyway. You have to go to Postgres. So let's write the notes. So logging and auditing in Postgres. Both we're going to talk about. So there are certain parameters which drives this configuration. So we'll talk about each parameter in detail. So if we go to vi postgres.conf, so there is a separate section in this. Okay, to deal with the, if you look at this one, resource usage. We are not talking about the resource usage now. If you look at this one, write ahead logging, we are not talking about this. Okay, it is a replication section. This is a query tuning section. So if you scroll it down, reporting and logging, this is where we have the parameters to, like to talk about all the entire logging and auditing together. Reporting and logging, this is a section for everything. There is section actually. We'll go through all these things when we go ahead in respective modules, don't worry. Most of the parameters we have to touch base, important parameters. Here under reporting and logging, we have to enable few parameters to enable the log writer, as well as if you want to add it the operations, in fact. So I'll go to the insert mode. So firstly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to enable this. Any warning, any errors, I want it to write it out. When you enable this, this will do the job. all errors, all warnings, all events which need to be, written. It will let the, it will write the events when you enable this feature. It is a very important. So let's take the parameter by parameter into the notepad. Okay, this parameter will help PostgreSQL server to write the events like errors, warnings, all events happening on the Postgres. What kind of events we'll talk about? Okay, after we enable it. This is the first parameter we must know under the logging and auditing. Then log collector. You must run a service continuously to scan the operations, to scan what to be written, what need to be recorded as error, what need to be recorded as warning. It has to have a service. To run the service, to scan all the operations and write the events into the log file, you must run this one, logging collector. This is going to enable the service, in fact. So let's write the notes for about this. This parameter will enable the service. Will enable logging service to track the events. Track the events to write into event logger Postgres log file. Postgres log file. Okay. Next, conclusion we will do. Let's go through the parameters first. Log directory. What is the name you want to keep for the log directory? By default, you don't have as of now. We keep pg underscore log. You can give it like this in the real time. We keep this way, pg underscore log. You can give anything. It doesn't matter what name you are giving it. It takes any name. Whatever the name you're giving it here, that is the name it creates here in this location. Okay, let me go to another session. CD where PG cluster where we have, right. So here you want to create a folder for your log file, Postgres events log file. You don't have as of now. We are giving a name. This name can be anything. Your name, my name, doesn't matter. But you have to follow the standard. So the standard name we use PG log in the real time. But it's not definitely needed to give that name, but it is standard. Okay. So this will create, if not exist, this will create pg underscore log directory under data directory. By default, it is under data directory to store this is a physical file to store the events, PostgreSQL server events. You need a file, right, to write the events. You are storing here. If you want to keep this somewhere for any reason, like you can give it the location as well. If you want to give it example PG cluster where we have, so you can mention the location also if you want the log file to be placed somewhere else. This PG cluster is our data directory anyway. I'm just giving it, but the location can be mentioned if you want. Basically, if you want other than the data directory, we don't keep anyway. It is something minimal. We will control it with the rest of the parameters. Right. How you want to see the file when it is created? How, in what format you want to see it? This is the one. PostgreSQL hyphen year, month, date, hour, minute, seconds dot log. Every time it creates, this is a format it follows. It's a good format. You don't have to do anything. Let it be. So this is going to drive how when it creates, it won't write all your log into one file. It will create time to time new file. It writes there when it is creating a new file how it has to look like. This is how it look like. I'll show this anyway. When the pg log file pg log event log file. Postgre when it creates pg event log file, the format of the file name, the format of file name, format of the file name look like file name will be what we can say, will have the naming convention, or how you define here, in fact, will have the naming conventions, how we defined here. So how you are defining it, if you want to give it at the end something else, if you want to append underscore log for everything, log is anyway there. If you want to, you can do it. In fact, whatever you give it, that is a format it is going to create, the format of log file. Am I audible to all of you? No one is talking, so just want to check.
Yes,
Yes, right?
yes,
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Thank you for the
yes.
confirmation. Right. So now, next important parameter we must know is rotation. Every day it has to rotate. That's how we do. And if it is not rotating every day, because it should have some size to rotate. If it is not filling it out, example, every day it will rotate by default. But within one day, if your log is generating lot of data, you must have some size. Here, um, generally we will keep it 100 MB to 1 GB in worst case. That is a maximum we keep it in the real time. But anyway, let's write some notes on this. It's a log rotation age. Every day, new log file will be created automatically. At the same time, there is one more parameters which will drive the log creation automatically. This is a kind of recycling the log, nothing else. This parameter will create new log file every day automatically. A new log file and record the events there. This one, if if a log file size size exceeds 100 MB, then it will create new log file, though day is not ended, though the day is not ended in the sense, what happened in this case, it will rotate by default every day. That's the nature of the log rotation what we are defining. But within one day it reached 100 MB, it will create one more 100 MB, 100 one more 100 MB within a day itself. It won't write all of the data into one file. We don't go up to maximum in the real time. I've seen 100 MB to 1 GB, 1 GB size. 1 GB is too big, in fact, don't go for it. But on the large systems, to maintain the log files, we had to go for it. But 500 to 500 itself is a big file. 500 MB logs data is not a small data, it's huge, in fact. You are not deleting it anyway. We will, how do you delete the old data? That we will talk about. 14 days, we will keep it in the directory. But if the directory is really getting big, we can delete the old one manually. That's fine. So how do you automatically delete in the automation module? Anything you want to automatically delete based on the age, we have a discussion. I'm not finishing that side yet at the moment. I'm going to talk about functionally how it works. So log rotation size in the within the day, if the log file size grows beyond 100 MB, it creates another log file and to start tracking the logs automatically. That's important. Next is not important. This one, okay. Sequence number. No, we don't use all this. Right, this is very much important for us. Syslog, sequence, split, event source. You don't need this. This is important. This is such an important thing. What do you want to write into your log file? This is going to define, in fact. You have enabled log file, write the events, but what do you want to write? That's a big question, right? So this is what you want to write. So warning will cover. So basically, what exactly it mean? Generally, it is a warning. By default, keep the warning only. Don't change that. If you keep it warning, it will cover the panic, any corruption related. Okay, panic means server. It is not handling the load at all. It will go to panic mode. Like if you see the panic kind of anything related to panic, which mean Postgres is not handling the load that is coming in. It will shut down automatically if it goes beyond its control, resources. This fatal you see when the data corruption happens generally. When data corruption happens, fatal errors will recorded. Logging the events, any event for that matter. You created a table, you dropped a table, DDLs generally will record. Errors, if someone writing a code or something, something got errored out, it will write the error messages. Warning, error can be anything. Even corruption also write as an error, of course. Right? It is an error. Warning is something you are deviating the standard. It will validate the standards. If anything, you're not following what it has to be, it will write as a warning. It is not something a blocker. Warning is not a blocker, but it's a good to monitor. Notice info debug 1, debug 2. If I give a debug 5 instead of warning, it will record all from the bottom to up. I'm giving the warning, so it is only monitoring all this, not the rest. So let me write the notes on it. We don't need all of this. It is a heavy load on the system. Debugging, if you are enabling the debugging, it's equivalent to auditing. Again, it creates unnecessary extra load on the server. Don't go for it. It will be warning only. We will keep all this. Let me write some notes here. Uh, when we enable warning, it will record events like panic, which means out of control. The server is not handling the load. It is got shut down. Panic mode generally. Fatal data corruptions. Events log means any kind of operation. Normal. Any event. Error is something and something got errored. Okay, then warning. It covers all of that. Enable it will record events like panic, fatal, everything, because it comes from the bottom to where you are ending. If I giving you notice, it will keep the notice up to. If you give it info, every informational command will be recorded. Debugging 1 2 3, you go the higher, the more logging, the more load on the system. We don't need all that. We need only up to warnings. That's the best standard. You keep the standard as it is. Okay, that's there. Okay, this is not important. Minimum log statement error, that you don't need it. This one, if you want. um, if you want log min duration statement, if a query runs any query for that matter, it will be given in seconds. This comes in the performance. I don't want to talk about this. This is not case now we have to talk about. That's about performance parameter, so we don't care about for auditing. That's for a query. If it runs on more than defined value, it will record that query details. Else it won't. But it's not related to auditing. That's related to performance. So I'm not touching that for now. Minimum duration sample. You don't need this. You don't need this. You don't need this. Debug level. You don't need this. You don't need this. Checkpoint. Right. This is so important for us. What to be logged in what format? If a user deleted a table, how it has to be recorded? You want to define it. It has to be defined. Okay. Else it will be problematic to capture the person. So I wanted first application name from where operation is triggered. This one. You can see that A means application name. Then username should be triggered, recorded. Then database name, on which database that action took place, and the host, from which host the operation triggered, from where the bad operation triggered. If you look at all the descriptions are here given, in fact, then we must add the process ID. That's important for us. From process ID, and then you can even include the query, what query is written, and timestamp. So if I give the enable this one, it writes the application name, it writes the username, it writes the database name, it writes the host name, it writes the process ID, it writes the timestamp when that bad operation happened. So all these are all important for us to track. If someone did something, it's just writing the events without the user information. Who to be blamed? Should blame someone, right? To blame someone, you need to record that information. So this is something, another important parameter we need to understand. This is going to track, okay, application name, from where it is triggered, user details, database name, and which the operation has triggered. Okay, okay, then host, from where the action triggered, host name, and then PID, process ID, what was used for that operation, and timestamp of the operation. So it records all of that. Okay, it's very important to track all of them. Let me see, do we have anything else? Those, this is the next important, right? So what operations you want to track? So basically, we'll go with the a lot of times mod, but sometimes all as well. Let me define. This is another important thing. So you're tracking the auditing, but what operations you want to track? Basically, here you have a DDL. This covers what operations DDL covers. In fact, right? Create, alter, drop, and truncate. This will cover this thing. And DML will cover the insert, update, delete, and delete. This is going to be covered, not select. Then all means everything. What do you want to track? I want to track everything. DML, DDL, every single operation I want to track. Most of the time we'll go within DML, which is a mod. Generally, it is mod. In the auditing term, you can see that mod. All means everything. DDL, modification, insert, update, delete are all. You wanted everything to be, then you don't need to mention this. Either you can mention here DDL or mod or all, or none means nothing. You enable everything, but you are keeping it none, it will not record anything because it controls it. In fact, okay, this parameter important for us. Anything else? Okay. If you want to track the time also, how long they did, we have some more parameters. Log checkpoint, log duration off. We don't need that. Debugging. There should be one more parameter where we can track the time. Where is it?
Down you have a time zone.
Not time zone. Time zone, we don't need it. Connection, disconnection, something. When he connected, when he disconnected, also, if you want, maybe you want to track the users. This is also sometimes part of the auditing. A user connected, but when he connected, when he logged off. Debug print. Okay, here it is, right. Log connection here. Log disconnection. This also sometimes part of the auditings. On, on. This is not always we use it, but this will give you more even granular auditing when you enable them. So when the connection made, When the connection made to PostgreSQL server. This one. When the user is disconnected. Right. So if we are changing all above these parameters, when we change these parameters, we must restart these parameters. We must restart PostgreSQL server to take these changes into effect. This is important for us. Right. So before and after, observe the situation. So here we gave the name to the log file, pg log. You can give any name, guys. This is something, it's not mandatory only pg log only. It can be anything that you want. As the standard saying, what people use in the real time, pg log as a convention, but you can use your name, my name. It will create the directory and make the entries there automatically. But it's something, you need to know. So we did all the changes what we wanted for auditing and logging. So I'm going to save this.
Prof, how
Right.
about the log mean duration statement?
Sorry.
The log mean duration statement.
Minimum duration to log the event, which I don't want. If it runs that long as a minimum, then it logs in event, else it won't. That we don't need.
Okay.
That's required for the performance side. We will talk about performance side. These parameters, how do they play the role? Uh, I'm only covering today is auditing and logging information. Rest of the parameters still there. They will be discussed in the performance training anyway. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
we'll touch base those. Don't worry.
Okay.
For now, if I restart the server, it will create a PG log file automatically. So pgctl restart. I'm restarting server. It got restarted. Now you will notice there is a directory got created automatically. This was not there before. And also you see the logger service is not available. Okay, when we have seen. Now logger service will be added. Logging collector is on, right? So CTL status. If you go and do this, ps-ef grep and that ID, you can see that extra service called logger. This log writer we call in actual term, but when we enable that logging collector, you get this service. But all are interdependent. You enabling and you're not giving the directory, it will create the default directory log. If even if you don't give it, the default name for this one is just a log, not pg log generally. And the default log file name will be this. Even you don't it, there are defaults. In fact, it takes to create the directory and track the events, but it won't track the application details. It won't track the modifications and all that. In fact, it won't enable this auto rotation of your log file. It won't. It will just create with the defaults simply. But we
So
are
default log file will be created in the same directory, Ravinder, or different place?
by default in the data directory. If you want,
Oh,
you can give the directory before the log file. It
okay.
accepts our custom directory. Now come back to this log, pg log. Let's go there and observe what is actually it's recording based on our discussion. So it will create one file. The file format is the file name. You see the year and the month, date, hour, minute, second, something like that. What it is creating. If I go and read this file, these are the events it's just had inside. It's a system level, in fact. Okay, which is okay. Now I'm going to do some operations, bad and good both. So let's go create a database. Let's see what databases we do have. Okay, it has got disconnected. Little small to show you. These are the databases I do have. I'll go to class database, DT, drop table. I'm dropping the table, drop table student. It got dropped. Create table. Let's do some actions and then validate them how it is recording. Create table name teacher, integer t name varchar 100. This is enough. So I'm going to insert data, insert into teacher values. Just for the use case, okay? 2, 3. Then update teachers. Let's read it. Set t name random, okay? Where t number equal to 1. Oh, delete from teacher where t number equal to 3. So these are all operations I have just done, right? So now you go and read the log file. We use this tail, in fact tail, because in the real time 500 MB text is a huge, you can't read everything, okay? You get to know wcfnl, the file name pg postgres wcfnl postgres is file. If I see 265 lines, I don't need it. Tail, I'm going to define 30 lines maybe, okay? Let's go with that. So if you read, the heck, it's not recorded. Where are these did I restart? I did, right? Ah, just a minute. Grep insert. Yeah, it's recorded. You can see that insert into, we generally like grep like this for operations. So if someone deleted the data, we'll go with the delete. So who deleted from where, what command? If you see this thing, let's make it a little smaller. I'll make it bigger. So try to understand how it records here. The application PSQL, it's my connection, PSQL application. If it is real time, there is an application, it will record that name. Database, the user who did, and the database and the connection, which host, the process ID and the time, what statement he executed. Okay, so everything will be recorded. We can easily catch the people if they're doing the bad operations, if anything. If I go with the update I have run thrice, 3 times. If you look at once only, okay. I did run the update only once. Delete one. Insert times 3 times we did. So right. You can see that this is the application, this is the user, this is the database. Okay, this is a host where it is triggered, this is a process ID, this is a timestamp when it triggered and all that. Okay, you can easily find every operation the user is doing, any user for that matter. Okay, you can find a delete, you can find update, you can find insert. What do you created you dropped a table also, right? Drop. We did drop. So what table got dropped? This table got dropped by whom? At what time? And table got created as well. So you easily find who did what. It won't. It's clearly logs the information, right? Any questions? This is all about auditing. Simple. Just few parameters which will drive this job. These are all parameters together. Any questions?
In production system, this will be enabled.
Not and all. But if the people are concerned about to track the events, they have to tell us beforehand. Auditing is something we don't do on every server. You have 100 servers, maybe you might enable auditing on 5, 6 servers, not on all, because that is where they are concerned about user operations. They have to inform well before if they want to track. By default, we don't track. We don't enable auditing for every server. It's a
Okay.
request. It's a request. In fact, in
Okay.
any product, not only here, in any product, we don't track by default all users' operation unless it is required by the project.
Okay. This is specific for the warning, right? In general, what we can be enable.
Right. In general, these are all parameters can be enabled, not this. These are all applies general logging information. It is writing the all standard operations error details, whatever it is coming console. It is writing your details. This is enabling the service. This is creating the directory. This is creating the file format. This is maintaining your age of your file, and this is maintaining within the day. If it becomes this big, it will rotate within one day itself. It is something logging all events. So these are all required things regularly, but these are all not. This is all only part of the auditing.
Specific situation.
Yes, you don't enable on every server. It's a purely requirement.
Okay.
I have a question. So Nietzsche, whatever the prefix line or log prefix line
Mm,
prefix as log statement. So if you go that granular level data, so in that case, what will happen? The every data will every log will be writing up into the file.
mm.
Is that case? It will make a performance issue,
It won't.
and
It's not too much. Maybe it hardly 1 to 2% load can be there if it is heavy activity. If there is no heavy activity, even that also it is not considerable. But everybody doesn't need that logging all the time. It is request they have to inform well before they do. It won't create a real great performance issue unless you are uh, tracking very deeper, debugging and all that. You don't do that basically under the warning here. If you go with the debug file, it will definitely create a load issue. We'll keep it there. But here, something it won't create too much of load. At least maybe 1 to 1.5% of your system. If you are heavier activities, it can go up to 3% of your system performance in worst case.
okay, why? Because I think we are saying that every data was monitoring nature. So warnings, fatal, and this one also,
Uh,
a logged in error also.
they are lightweight anyway. They are not writing too much of data. If you look at one liner for one action anyway. So here it can create the load, of course. It is expected it can the overall on the performance side of the system, it can go up to 3% when we enable. It's not really killing your system, but let me write a note. When we enable auditing, it may add up to 3% of performance hit, at most performance hit on the server.
Is there any dedicated service which will be running in the backend for this one, or else
It
the
goes through the log writer only.
okay,
It's one service which helps. That's why we are talking together. Logging and auditing, I'm talking together because it goes through the logger itself. Because it's writing into the event log, this event log, right? What it manages.
okay.
It's one service, it does both. That's why I put together at one place. If no questions, let's go to database management.
Ravinder, so unless otherwise there is a request, we don't alter these parameters in right.
Yes.
But this by default, I mean by default we are not going to enable anything unless otherwise there is a request for logging
If
and
you
all.
if you are doing the source code installation, you are entitled to do all these things yourself. It won't be enabled. Okay.
No, what I'm asking is when we are doing some installation, but there
Hmm.
is no a request for enabling these parameters or updating these parameters. So we are not going to do that, right?
Yes, if it is, that's what. If you're doing the repo-based installation, you don't do this. It will be there by default. Default values, default log file will be created log directory, and you will have the events recorded. But if it is source code installation, what we went through source code installation as well as the repo-based installation, um, if it is source code, you have to come and enable all this. So your side after the installation.
No, that's fine, Ravinder. But what I'm asking is, unless otherwise user request is there to enable the auditing, we are
Auditing,
not
yes.
getting this.
No, no, absolutely no. You don't enable this on all system unless the business need tracking. They have to request any product auditing. We don't enable on every server. You also database administrator, everybody, right? We don't see that every server is getting tracked for all operations. Only few specific servers where they really request. It's not
Okay,
all the
okay,
cases. Any
okay,
product, not only Postgres, it's usual trend in any RDBMS. If they request, then we enable auditing. Okay.
okay. Ravinder, thank you.
Yeah.
Ravindra, I have a
We can
question.
enable
Uh,
anytime or
we discussed
after
about the
installation or
parameters,
during
right? So,
installation.
One at a time, please. I'm not getting the question. Yeah, go ahead. One.
yeah. So we discussed about the parameters, right? So are we discussing about the connection parameters? How much we need to configure, and memory, that kind of stuff, and any other parameters, important parameters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
This
going
is
to
just
talk
a
about that.
login.
That comes everything in the performance. Connection level, session level,
Oh,
database level, user level. Everything is in the performance. That is related to
okay, okay.
performance.
This
In
is just logging
repo-based
and talking.
configuration,
Republic, go ahead, please.
yeah, actually in repo-based configuration, all these parameters default, it will be
It will be
enabled default.
default. You don't have to enable this. You have to, this is something you have to manual, but these are all automated in the repo-based installation. If it is
Okay,
source code, you have to do yourself. These are all. Okay.
okay, okay,
That's why we did not see the logger. That's why I shown before and after. There was a service was not there. After we enabled, we got that logger service. Where it is? We did here.
yes.
This one. It was not there. It is added after you enable that logging collector, all the data directory and everything. Okay. That's
Okay.
how it is. Uh, Coming back to database management discussions.
Uh, Ravinder, I have one question. See,
What?
actually, in our environment, we have 10 servers.
Hmm.
In 10 servers, we have only one server have a auditing database. How can we connect and pull the data other servers whenever my higher level management people will ask to add it, enable and give the data like that? What are the information we need to give that management?
What they're asking for? Maybe they wanted to see all delete operations. They wanted to see maybe all
No,
update operations.
what are the logins are available and how many databases are there and how many things are there like that actually.
Oh, you mean regular monitoring?
No, regular, not regular monitoring. Every year end, they will ask some auditing, auditing things like that actually.
They would ask you the permissions. So you don't they don't ask you every user. Maybe they would ask you each user detail what their permissions as a security compliance. In fact, it's there in every company. So when they ask you, you have to pull the user permissions. In fact, that's the main thing they do ask. But what their activities, no one will ask you. For a company security side, they do ask you what privilege given to the users. In our case,
Okay, how to connect other servers because we have 10 servers. 10 servers we have different users actually,
of
and in
course.
one server only we have auditing database actually. So how to connect and how to pull the other servers database information.
You can't pull it as a central, you mean to say, right? You have to enable it at every server level, pull the details individually. There is no such default, feature which help us to keep a central location. It's a customized solution. What you're asking. So you have to enable it server level, then track them if you want something. But anyway, they do ask about. I know that we are also doing that. We every year they do ask entire user list and their permissions. As a security auditing, every day we send that files for particular servers, not all. Okay, it's usual.
Okay, you mean each and every server we need to connect and we will pull the
Yeah,
data
yeah,
and we need to provide the management. Okay, thank you.
that's how it is. You don't have anything central as a default tool. It's a customized solution. If you are building something which connects all the servers, maybe automation, you're creating it that goes to
Yes,
every server one in the order. That is for
automation.
customization.
Yeah, automation custom based on the file format. We need to make an automation script. Okay,
Right,
to
right.
pull all the data.
But product does not give you anything as such in inbuilt. Okay, let's go to the actual database management here. So when you connect to the Postgres as a default, there are three databases we will see. Um, maybe font a little bit. So by default, you will see template 0, template 1, and Postgres. These three are the default database which comes with the installation of Postgres by default. So what are the default databases? Let me close this file. Default databases in Postgres. Follow this carefully. First one is Postgres. Why this basically will be used generally? We use this database for all administrations basically. When we do administrative activities, we connect to Postgres. Okay, we use this database. We use this database for administrative activities. What kind of administrative activities? Basically, let me write examples. Examples are creating new database, creating new DB, dropping the existing database, dropping existing database, backup and restore. These are all operations we will be in the Postgres database, creating users, so etc. So if I have to drop a database, I can't drop when I connect to that database. So where you will connect generally to Postgres and drop it. When we create database also, we will connect to Postgres and create. That's the standard. You don't have to connect to Postgres only. You may connect to different database and then run the create database. It will create. But that's the standard. I mean, we will connect to Postgres by default. Every admin will connect to Postgres only when we make a connection. We don't go to user databases when we authenticate. So generally, the authentication can happen against every database. It is not a user tagged to a database. Users are always global in the Postgres. Okay. So when we do the administrative activities, generally we perform from the Postgres database. In fact, this database act like default database for all connections. In the applications make a connection, or when we make a connection, we will use a Postgres only for authentication. When we authenticate, we don't use user. So that's why this database act like default database for all connections and authentications. Generally, that's how it will be used. Okay. That's all. I can say that Postgres does not have anything inside as a master. It has a physically global directory where all our objects are going in. In fact, its server level objects all will be stored in the global directory. Postgres database does not have anything inside, which is like a master database kind of. No, it's not. It is something a default database which we use for the administrative purpose. What kind of administrative purpose? These are all examples for it. But when we make authentication also, we use Postgres for connecting to the Postgres server. Other than that, nothing else with the Postgres database usage, I would say. Then template one. Template one database is a one database. The name itself is saying, right? Template one. So what it does basically, when we create any new database, it is exact copy of template one. It's like a model database in the Postgres. When we create any new database, any new database, by default, it is exact copy of template1 database. If we example, if we have to customize new database creations upcoming, then we add all those customizations to template1 database. So when we add customizations, again, when we add customizations, these customizations will be added to new databases, not to existing, okay? Will be added to new databases that we create after the customizations. That's all about template one. Other than that, nothing else. It's just a default template. If you want to add something extra to that, add it and create new databases. All will exact copy of it, so it will inherit automatically all your things. Then template 0. This database is clean Postgres. You can say that you can't connect to it, you can't modify it, but it is also a template which comes with the installation. So this is a clean template database. We call it as clean Postgres template database, which can't be modified. Let's make the notes this. Which can't be modified. When we want default database features, not customizations, then customizations, then we use this database to create the new databases explicitly. It's not a default, you have to use it explicitly. Okay, so this is all about this thing. Let's go and do in practical one by one. Try to follow this. It's easy. You don't have to do much. And the database administration means, how you manage it, kind of taking the backup restore. That is a different story. Your security side, different story. We are only talking about creating databases, dropping databases, how the templates are going to help us in the real time, and what is a user defined template databases, how you create a copy of the databases, everything we're going to see today. Example, I'm going to connect template one. Example, let's go and check here. I'll connect to template first, template one. Okay, now you see you don't have anything, any table, no schema, nothing. Okay, public schema will be there anyway by default, but there is nothing in it. It's empty database because there is nothing was created. Now I'm going to create some tables. Table student. In the template, I'm doing in the template. You see the database name here. Source number, integer, S name, varchar 100. So example, I'm creating this table. Let's create some more. 2, 3. I'll create custom schema also intentionally. Create a schema, test schema, whatever it is. Now I'm going to create under test also. Different one table at least, just for the sake of discussion. We are customizing the database, which mean, so in the real time, we don't care about customizations. We will execute anyway, but I'll talk about that. User defined customization, I mean user defined template databases. When do we use it? How do we use it? Right. So now we created one schema called test. We have created 3 tables under public schema. We created one table under test schema in the template database, right? This is all we have done. Let me make the notes also for you. Customizing the template database. Example. Customizing the default template one database. Right. Now, if I create any new database, right now what database we have? These are the databases we have. Create a database. Okay. Maybe I'll create the database name called testing. It got created. Now you find the database testing at the bottom here. Now I'll connect to the testing. So what happens here? You'll find 3 tables. You'll find the 2 schemas. You'll find that table in the test schema as well. Why we got all of this in the post testing database? Why did we get all this?
From template 1.
That's it. We got made these things in the template. We got them into the new database. Simply. So this is how the template one works. Template is a default template database, template one. Every database which is exact copy of the template one, what you define. Sometimes, not all cases, sometimes, I'll talk about more on the sample side, but understand the default one. Sometimes they do deploy the all customized things, they will write their views, their functions, their everything. So every new database need to have those objects for them. They only deal with the data, they will have their own objects in it. So that case you will find it. But in our case, very good example, I'm going to tell you, which we are using that solution. User defined, we are using the user defined custom templates databases. How we can create this, how we use it, and what is the purpose here is, we have tenants, 3 clients, like 3 to 4 clients per server. We call it tenants. Client called as tenant. That's what is the name we use it. Each tenant has their own custom template sample database. They don't mess with. So when we create a sample database, template database, okay, for them, if we do any deployment as part of the structure schema that has to be applied to template, then only their database will be updated. It's mandatory for every deployment. Let me tell you. Tenant one. Just this is a good example, so I want to give you a real-time sense of understanding. Templates will help you. Not in all cases we have this. There are this kind of architectures we have. So they have their own template databases. In fact, I can't give the exact real name what we use for the client. So I'll call it as a DB template one. Let's call that way. DB template one. DB template 2, DB template 3. So if these guys are doing any deployment on the server as part of the schema, they have to deploy in the template first. Then it will go to the user database. So the template will have entire schema, not the data, only the schema. If I create a new database, that new database will get that schema automatically. So they only work for the business side, data load side. They don't have to work with the code side. That's how they are really using the templates. I really like that concept what they're trying to do in our project. So any modifications that we do as part of any modifications that we do as part of the DDL changes must be applied to template database their template database. It's a mandatory. You can't do here anything. So let's create one, understand how it works. So if example there is something called select strict from PG database where it will get all these properties. Before this, let me see the structure. It's a table, in fact, PG database. These are the columns we have in this table. Describe, D means describe. Display the table structure here. So these are all columns this table has. What are the columns I want to read? This is how we filter the columns, guys, in Postgres. Describe, what are the columns you wanted. OID database name and is database is template. This is important for our discussion. And allow connections. Any remote connections are allowed or not. What is the maximum connections you can make one database? Table space. This is something next module we'll talk about. Data. Yeah, that's all. So then PG database. Right. If you see, there is only one default database what it's showing, two in fact, but this is the one what we use it. OIDs, this part I'll cover tomorrow. There is a very important discussion. We do talk about how these OIDs and how they are related physically. We'll talk about that in the tomorrow session. That is in the table space discussion. For now, only sticking the discussion to database management. Here we have two template databases which are default, but I want to create my own template. Create database. Database name is DB template 1. Okay, with you have to create like this. I'll tell you why it has to be created like that. With sample, I guess sample equal to true. Fill this correct only. Is template, I feel. I forgot the syntax anyway. Let me give is template if it should work. Oh, nice. So we created this template for tenant 1. So their schema, all modifications should go into that. Why it is so? What kind of why they are maintaining that? That will be the conclusion of the discussion anyway. If you go and read the same thing, this thing, now you'll find one more template, user defined database, DB template 1. You can see that. So here they deploy everything what they wanted to deploy as part of the schema. It's mandatory. So let's go to here, connecting to this, create some tables. Create a table, maybe customer, just for the use case. Customer. Here I'll give it C number integer, CNAME var 100. I'll create here two tables just for the use case. Schema also, if you want, I can create a schema. Create a schema. All their deployments will be done here. What do we call this? Custom schema, just for the use case. Then I'll tag the custom here. Right. So these are all there in this template. We have in this template. Oh, 4. Why all this came? Can anyone tell? There is a reason. I created only 2 tables, but I can see all these tables. Why?
Template 1 is modified earlier.
Yes, that template is called, this template database also created from that template, default template. That is a mother of templates. You can't avoid that. Okay, let it be. It's a good thing. So if I go to here, I have more schemas as well in this custom template. So this tenant will deploy all their modification to that database as part of our deployments. If we create any new database from that, how do I create again? So create a database lab 100, whatever it is. Okay. Template, I have to use a template. What is the template name we have used? DB underscore here. I'm using template DB1. So if I create database like this database, which database lab 100 will have all the contents of this template. It's a custom template, what I'm telling to create, in fact. So if I go to this database, which database lab 100, here you'll find all the tables, all the schemas, everything. So it's simple and straightforward, guys. No strange and great thing in this. We created our custom template database like this for each tenant. Each tenant have their own code deployed into it. Their own code deployed into it. When we create the particular database for them, it gets their own code into each database automatically. Is it something going beyond your understanding? Simple, right?
Ravinder, if we need to skip the template one, by
Mm.
default it got inherited the whatever the changes that is kept, I mean, modified there, and we tried to create DB template one, right? So that
Mm.
got inherited tables and schema. So if we need to skip that, how we can?
Right. If you want to skip that, yes, you can still skip, which is we have a clean template, right? There is one more clean template. This one. I don't
Template
Which
want
is a which is a default template? Is it template 0 or template 1?
one is default always.
So if we don't need to mention the DB template 1, right? Here to create.
No, 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 no. This is custom. We're talking about the custom, right? User defined custom template. For each in one server, we have three different people. They are using it. We call tenants, each client. So they have their own template sample databases. They have loaded their own schema into this. There are a lot of schemas. Their default structures, every table they use in the entire project, that's there in their template. Any DML that's clearly written, any modification that we do as part of DDL must be deployed into their template first. Then they'll go to the respective database deployment so that it's a master copy of the schema for them.
Okay. Can we do like this? I have a user database. I'd want to do same as the same database with a new database. Can I use as a template of the database one?
Can you come again?
I have a I have a user database. I just
You,
wanted to create the new database with same as that one. Can I use that as a template?
yes, you can. That is the last discussion anyway. Let's
Okay.
talk about the one what we define. Any database can be act like a template, but there is a problem that I'll going to explain at the end. Okay, you can't use everything in the real world. These templates are actually just meant for creating it because they want to have such kind of structure in every new database. So we new database is created uh, without the default. So our clean template is template 0. You can't modify, you can't have anything. See, if you delete the template 1, you can't delete anyway. If you delete, if it corrupted, when you restart the server, it creates from the template 0 automatically if it corrupted in a worst case. Okay, template 0 is a master copy of a model for us. You can't modify, you can't connect to template 0. You can connect to any database, but not to that. You can't modify first of all because you can't make a connection. It is a master copy of our template. So if I want to create this db2 template, next project example here, create. So try to understand. Create database. Database name is this. Okay. With is template. I'm going to give it true. Uh, Okay, here I can, this is a database, so template, I don't have to use this one, right? So first what I'm going to do, create database, database name, template, template 0, is sample, can we do this? I can convert later on, we can do that as well. Is template, will it accept? I have to check this. It's a good question what is asked. Is template true? Let's see. Nice. It's good. We will not touch template one on those servers. We will create custom user defined template database. There we deploy the customization, not on the template one, in fact. But anyway, here we have done. That's why the tables were coming up. Now, oh shit, I called DB demo. Oh, it's okay. This is correct only. If I go to here, do we find any tables here? We should not, right? We don't. Of course, we don't find. Do we find any schemas? Public schema only. This will answer your question.
Yes, Ravinder. Thank you.
This is a clean template. You can't modify, you can't do anything. It's a global clean template for us. Template one also can be modifiable. Any other template database also can be added as a structure. Okay. And one more thing, why templates? You should have ask a question, right? Why templates? Normal database we can create and then we can apply the schema and then use the database to copy. Yes, that also you can do. But template will protect. You can't drop the template database by mistake also. At the same time, you can't modify, you can't drop a object by mistake also. There are good things about the template. That's why template database will be used as a custom solutions. If I go to DB template one, where we created, we have some tables, right? Here. So drop table. If I don't want the schema anymore, customer, right? So we are in the drop template one only, right? DB template one, right? Just a minute. We can't drop the database. We should not drop anyway, but quickly, where is this query gone? This one. Okay. If you see this one is true, okay, can drop it. In fact, thought like we can't because we don't drop anyway. We don't touch the templates for. But here, it's not something good. It's I thought like it never has let us to. The drop database is not possible anyway. If I go to Postgres, this I know drop database template one. Template database can't be dropped. This is something as protection. Cannot drop a template database. But dropping the table is something should be protected as far as I understand. As far as I know, it will protect the objects also, I thought. I mean, that's what we don't touch this template databases for any modifications, for only a schema deployments, else we don't touch it. It's letting to drop the table, which is not something good. Okay, I'll check on this.
Ravinder, actually, it is only restricting his data template. Template here only true and false is there, right? But there is no control of the tables under it.
That's, I mean, it will let you to create but not drop. That's what we have it documented in our project also that I have to go and check.
But Ravinder, if we want to remove that as a template, we need to alter the
Yes.
database true and
Uh,
false, true to
uh,
false, right?
right. Template. Let me write that notes anyway. We still have time. So note why we need to create a templates. Right. That's the point of discussion. When we create a database as template, it will be you see the problem with the template is if I'm creating a template, let's understand this thing. This should be free from connections. If anybody connected, you can't create a template. A using database cannot be used for the templates. Let's use this thing. It's a good point to talk about. So let's go to template one. It has to be an active transaction, not just a session. It won't stop us to not to create a template, but let's give it a try. The real world problems will be definitely will be there. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create a new database using the template one. It has a connection, active connection, but ongoing sessions I feel there. Create database. Database name is Cloud 200. With the template is also fine. Template. Template. Template is. I'll use this database where I have active connection as of now. See here, it got stuck. Why? When the database is in use, you can't create a template. From that template, you can't create databases. This is important point. So when we use database as a template, it will be locked against the drop. It will be locked against the drop. That is one important thing. Against the drop. And here, when we create new database from the template database, it should not have any active connections. Okay, active connections. If it has any active connections, we can't use a template. We can't use the template to create new database. So what I have to do then? Generally, that is the reason. See, template means what? It's a copying the database to build a new database. That's why no one make a connection. We keep creating the new databases. So this is one big reason why we need to create separate templates. Why we have this kind of concept. Only during the deployment will connect. We will deploy that schema, come out of it. So it will not have any active connections to that. So that new database will be easily created. If it is a user database example, let's go. This database is not a template. In fact, which one? If I go to DVD rental, let's go to. There are a lot of tables in that. It's a sample database. If you go to here, there are a lot of tables. And there are schemas as no, only tables. Okay, these are all different tables and each have a lot of data. This is not a template database. If you look at straightforward discussion, guys, this is not at all confusing, but this is important to understand template thing. If you look at DVD rental, it's not a template. You can see that, but I can create database name. Let's call it as lab 1000, whatever it is. Template. What the heck? Where is this gone wrong? Database wrong. If you type wrong, it won't take. Lab 1000 template DVD rental. Is DVD rental, is it sample database? It's not. Still, I can create a database from that, and that will have all the data of DVD rental. It is also under use. What the heck? Oh, I'm in the currently DVD rental database. No, I should not be in this. I should go to Postgres because my connection itself has active connection, right? So now it will create. It still has one connection. What is that connection? Select asterisk from PG stat activity where that name equal to DVD rental. Oh, it says no connections.
DVD rental name is wrong.
Oh, is wrong. Just a minute. Oh, it has just a minute. I don't need all this. So I just need the process IDs. This is the one. Select PG terminate. I'm killing the session. Right. No connections. Right. Don't worry about terminate site. We will talk about that. So now what I'm doing, I'm creating the database from the DVD rental. It will create. It is got created. If I go to this database, see, and this database, I'll have all the tables of that database. Okay. But this is not the case at all in the real time. You can create from any database to any database, exact copy of it. But the problem is you have to kill all the sessions. So non-template database, creating a non-template database. Let's talk about that. We can create any new database from any existing database, which are non-template also. Okay, non-template also. The problem here in real time, in real come on, in real time, we create copy of the databases, copy of the databases using pg dump and restore. We'll talk about that. Restore. We don't use this kind of concept for the non-default template database I'm talking about. Okay, when we have to create, we have to create uh, when we have to create a copy of the database, source database must be free from connections, which is not possible in the real time, right? So we don't use this method. So I want to conclude this here is, guys, simply here for non-template databases you can use as a template. Any database is a template by default if you want to create. The problem here is source should not have a connection when you're creating the copy of it. For production, creating a copy of it, are you going to kill every session? We don't kill such things from the production databases. We use pg dump and restore only for creating the copy of the databases. We'll talk about that separately. But when we have to create copy database, source database must be free from connections, which you don't do in the real time. Getting? Yes, no.
Ravinder, as we are using this as a template, so it will only copy the structure, or do it copies the data as well, whatever the data is
Absolutely
present in it?
everything. Absolutely everything. Not only the structure. In the what I said here is we are keeping only the structure, not the data. If it has data, it will get the data also. If you go and check this thing, this got created from where? We just created lab 100, created from DVD rental. There's a table. I'm in the lab 100. You'll have all the data, of course. It has everything. It gets everything. Entire data is there, not just the structure. Template means everything. It's a
So,
copy of it.
okay. So, I mean, generally that will be done using the backup. I mean, backup and restores, right? So,
Mm,
this
mm.
will have any benefit over that if we,
Creating this one,
yeah.
no benefit except creating, your database downtime. There is no benefit. It will be faster, in fact. Dump and restore much faster than copying, creating a copy directly. And it
Oh,
generates the log also, val
okay.
also, which is
Oh,
not recommended. But you should know the product, how it works. That's the only point. If you are copying the data using the template, it generates the vals. you have to make the source as unusable, because you should not have any connections at that moment. It is not really practical in the real time on the production database. For creating a copy, no one will allow you to log the database at all. Okay, if it is locked started copying, no one can make a connection at the same time. So both are there. So that's why non-template database we don't use for as a template at all. You must know it concept wise, right?
Ravindran, to add on this point over here, so suppose if you are doing a separate database which was a source, and we want to route the data which was a new database tables. So in that case, we take the backup of a schemas and tables from source and replicate in the new database, and then route the connections to the new database and flow for the online. So is that a way where we can do that activity? Why? Because we have this issue in MS SQL.
What do you mean? I have this server, this here, and I didn't get you the entire question. So, what do you mean? This A server, B server talking you're talking about?
Yeah,
Or
A server, B server. Old, it was getting full. Why? Because the data, we are having a huge amount of data. So we cannot shrink it. Why? Because we have a vacuum over here, but we cannot shrink it in MS SQL. So if we take the backup of the schema and then restore it in the secondary server and route the connections existing new all database is a production, and
so
as
this
I
one,
said, yes, yes,
this one.
yes.
Actually, that is comes with the foreign data wrappers. If you want, you
Mhm.
can link that table, link the server, link the database, and you have to call the hierarchy. Make the connection to this database, call the hierarchy, insert the data. It will go there and sit. It's a simple and straightforward. It's kind of link server.
Okay.
It's if we call it as sorry, foreign data wrappers, FDW in the Postgres. You can create any remote server as a link here. Okay, foreign tables. Using the foreign table, if I hit a connection, it will go there and load the data here. We will see that we have a concept. We're going to talk about that. But you can do that. But here we go with the table spaces to manage the storage. We don't push that to different server. That is a tomorrow topic anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Table space.
Okay. We don't have this type of feature in MS SQL, I think so.
You have link server, right? You can trigger through link server. You can make connection to server. You push all the inserts to that new server. You can do. Why not? Same concept.
Okay. You mean, okay, okay. Got it, got it.
You go through the link, right? You pass
Yes.
the link server name, database name, the schema name, table name, and you insert into that. It will go there only, not into the local. Similar concept here also. Okay. So I want to talk few more things on the database side, renaming a database. Okay, there are few more things which we need to talk. Then I'll close this topic tomorrow. Then we enter into table space discussions, which is very important in Postgres. Database management side, this is what you need to know. Template databases, how do we use a template? And when you're creating from the non-default template, what happens basically? How do you rename a database basically? How do you change the max connection limit if you want at database side? That a few more discussions left. I'll discuss and close this topic, and then we'll go to table space discussion.
Yeah, actually, template one, template zero, we cannot drop it. But like custom template databases which we created, we can drop this.
No, that I'll cover tomorrow because over
Okay.
time, because I
Okay.
don't want to close the topic in hurry. Template databases are drop protected by default. If you want to drop, make it non-template and drop. I'll conclude entire discussion. Few more things left, maybe 10 to 15 minutes discussion. Then we'll go ahead. Okay. I don't want to close it in hurry because we are over time, and then I don't want to close in 2 minutes that topic.
Okay, sir.
Let's go through that properly. Okay. Stopping it.
Thank you.